Vote.
We're going to put up the resolutions, and I'm going to let Marion's just let Marion absorb this, and then I'm going to ask Marion to make comment, please.
David, concentrate.
It's 12 months, David. David, it's 12 months.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the comments that I would make to the committee is that it's experts' advice really that we've received with respect to that 800,000, and that is a minimum to bring that property up to standard. There is no department that we can see within the council that is willing to take on this work. We haven't been able to. As I mentioned, we looked at various services across the service departments across the council, and there isn't a need for it. We haven't been able to, as I said, find a department that is willing to undertake this work. It is a minimum to bring this up to a safe standard, and really experience shows that when we're fitting out buildings for public use, that cost increases significantly.
Yep. So, councillors, what that means, what Marion is saying, could you please, it's important to absorb that, is where it says the Howick Local Board contribute to the cost of 800,000. Let us be quite clear that well, up to, but let us be quite clear the Howick Local Board may be paying all of that 800,000, and if the bill is 2 or 3 million, they'll be paying the whole lot. So that's what this means. So quite clear.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
A question for
Marion.
Marion Webb.
Marion Webb. Thank you, councillor. Sorry, I'm losing my.
Been here a long time.
Point 50 in the report says that the required and recommended work are estimated to be approximately. It doesn't say it's a minimum, so I was just going to challenge your comment on that.
That is correct. That is what it says. Again, the expert advice that we've received from the council is that this is really this work was done very recently. It is a minimum to bring that up to standard. That's the advice that we've received from the council officers.
And just my final question, Mr. Chairman. So, would I be correct in assuming that councillors for Howick, Councillor Stewart, Councillors Young, and the local board chair are happy with B, C, and D?
Yep.
Councillor Young? Yep. Oh, thank you.
Councillor Cooper and then Councillor Filipina.
Just a question around that 50 and 51. So it's got weather tightness issues, so it could well be rotten already, right? Yeah, okay. I'm just wondering about the prudence of spending that much money on a rotten building. Okay, that's right. So that's a possibility.
That's right.
So in terms of a council leasing policy, I don't know if you can answer this. So you can't lease a building out to something if it's leaky or mouldy, or like if it had that black mould in it or anything like that. So you couldn't really safely lease that out unless that was all determined and it was safe for people to go in.
Through the chair, that's my understanding.
Tauranga City Council have had to vacate their whole council building because it's full of mould and they can't go back and they have to demolish it. Okay, thank you.
Just sorry, David, it's hardly unusual, but I'll let you comment.
I do appreciate it. I just want to make one comment. Should we have not allowed the Uxbridge Arts Centre to go in there for almost a year with the public going into that building, in and out of that building?
Oh no, you let them.
No, we let them. We let them, councillor. We let them.
I don't know, but
Okay,
I asked.
right. We're not going to now.
Being rotten now.
Not a meter.
And
okay.
I'm not the expert.
Point of order. He's not a member of the
David,
committee.
I was generous,
Chair
but I
gave him
didn't
permission to speak. Debating.
Your points of order are out of order.
Sorry, I just asked a question about weather tightness.
I'm hungry.
A question about whether we're allowed to lease buildings, if that's like, and if we've made a mistake in the past, we shouldn't repeat it.
We're not making it. We didn't make a mistake.
Let us be quite clear. Councillor Cooper is correct. The health and safety buck stops here, at this table. So let's be quite clear about that. Member, Councillor Filipina.
Just still on questions, Chair.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep.
So question
Happy
is,
to blend at the moment, actually.
well, you can't have a better blend than half Māori, half Samoan.
I'd rather a
So look-
cocktail shaker.
Could be
So,
something
look,
else
look,
in there.
oh, look, again, I had the puppet on my left. So, you know, I hope you just sort of keep calm, dear councillor. But just to clarify, and I think this is the crux point for me, just to clarify that $800,000 mentioned in this report is from what you have been told by the staff who have looked at this building is actually the minimum. So if that's the case, Chair, and I'm surprised that Councillor Simpson didn't pick it up, but as Deputy Chair of the Finance and Performance Committee, but Chair, I don't think the 800,000 should be there as an up to $800,000. What if it ends up costing, as what Councillor Cooper said, it costs $2 million or cost $1 million? Where is the shortfall going to be picked up?
From the leasehold. It's because the,
Look, that's my question, because
We're going to let
we were advised,
Matthew.
because we
Can
were
I-
advised that that's the least of our of the cost.
So can I just, so through the chair, I think Marion's done an outstanding job of making sure you're
Exactly.
aware of a lot of advice that's been gathered up and has gone into this. I think she's kept it fairly clear. I appreciate, and we all appreciate, these are hard decisions for you, but I do want to make really clear, and Marion's being, I'm not even sure you're being subtle about it. She's making sure that you understand she doesn't know which and what department in council will come up with the money if indeed there's a shortfall. You're learning today that it's highly likely there's a shortfall. I think what this resolution would do is you're really forcing the parties to come together and probably make it black and white that there actually is a shortfall. If there's a shortfall, we don't have the money. It would have to come back here, and you would need to make a budgetary decision as to where that money's going to come from. So there's no easy way through this. Marion's been very clear. The amendment here enables you to vote on whether the property should be retained. But in a way that would force the local board, and they're saying they're up for that, you hear that, but they're going to have to get together with the departments and sort out the money. Otherwise, we can't get a tenant in there because we can't get it to a sufficient standard to legally have a tenant in there and feel like we're doing our job.
So look, my question then to the mover and the seconder is that for C, and I mean, look, I'm heading towards supporting this, but for C, I think that the $800,000 shouldn't be there based on what we have been advised by our staff. But the words on 50 of our agenda be put in there and request that the Howick Local Board undertake
Remediation.
the structural integrity of the building and prevent further deterioration. Because, I mean, I'm just saying that because the chair of the Howick Local Board actually pointed out a very good example, and that was Uxbridge, where there was 120,000, cost you 20. And so what I'm saying is that $800,000 should not be there based on the advice that we have received, and that it would be replaced at request that the Howick Local Board undertake as soon as possible to works to ensure the structural integrity of the building and prevent further deterioration. I just think that it's good because we're giving them another 12 months, which is cool. The chair of the Howick Local Board has outlined that, look, we will be working collectively with Pānuku. And so I just think, and I put that to the mover and seconder because I think it's important, instead of then coming back to this body, this committee, if there is a shortfall, because that's exactly what the chair and Matthew has outlined. So I leave that because I think it's important. So I'll just leave that with comment from the mover and the seconder. It just
Well, it
allows
just
the work
keep
the
it
local
building
board,
you build.
sorry, councillor Stewart, it just allows the local board, for them, they understand then that to carry out the works that's required, and I know member Jim Donald actually said, you know, that he's a builder, but it just allows them to at least undertake that work. And it doesn't need to come back here if there is an overrun. We're hoping it's not, it's going to cost cheaper than 800,000. That's all I'm saying.
Don't
So-
we need to put the 800,000 in
No,
there because it's in the report?
not as a result,
Is it
sorry,
limits?
not as a result of the advice we've given, and then the local board is clear. The local board is clear. We have to undertake the work, structural and everything else, and that's why David's shaking his head, acknowledging that, because they are then aware. That's all I'm saying.
So Sharon, the difference is that the report says approximately, and that's why we did the 800, but then consequently she said it's not approximately, it's actually a minimum. So what they're saying, so there's different information from what's in the report. So what's not important,
that.
actually, what isn't important actually is the money. It isn't important, actually
it's the
what's
work.
important is the work. So what they're saying is request that the local board deliver
That the
The
local
structure-
board undertake the
Undertake.
necessary works
the third
to ensure the structural integrity of the building and prevent further deterioration as per 50 in our agenda. That's all I'm asking.
It should be the last sentence.
What are you saying?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I-
think that's,
Okay,
it's a health and
we'll
safety
go with
thing,
your
actually.
words then,
That's all.
Alf.
Yeah.
David? Okay.
So, look,
Really irregular.
I've been asked to agree, can I suggest that?
This is really
Can I just say
irregular.
we request that the Health Local Board contributes to the costs of work on the building
cost.
prior to any tenancy?
The full cost.
the full cost.
Vote for it if it said
We're
full
not
cost.
going to do half it, we're not going to rip you off, no one's going to pay for it.
Well, sometimes
right?
contribute is
Okay, look, through the chair. Everyone through the
Sorry,
chair,
Mr.
please.
Chairman.
Everyone through the chair. It's getting a bit out of hand.
just copying everybody else.
It's a
Okay.
very reasonable thing, but I'd just change contribute to deliver.
I suppose what I want to see that's be achieved
Fund.
here is, the how, like,
Cover the
Cover,
cost.
cover,
Cover
cover.
the cost, we have to
Cover.
cover the cost.
There you go.
Cover,
There's
all
your
done.
answer.
Okay.
All done.
Cover the cost of work on the building prior to any tenancy.
The work
Mediation.
required.
It's
You
building
can't get a
mediation.
tenancy if it's not fit
okay,
for purpose.
right, as I said,
That covers it.
I'm happy.
whoa. Getting,
Is it me?
Let's all run up there and do it.
I think we just need to all calm down a bit and just try and go through the chair. It would be really good. It would keep it in order a bit more. So we're just trying to get here so that really the bottom line is that the local board has to be fully aware of the consequences, if this goes through, the consequences of this move. Marion has made it quite clear, there is no department that is prepared to put any money into this because they don't recommend it should be ongoing. So the local board has got to be aware of this sum could get bigger and bigger.
Building there.
Just as long as you're aware, because no one else is going to contribute if this resolution goes through.
Crazy.
Okay? So the mover and seconder are fully aware of that, no doubt, because they are moving it. Okay, David, I'll let you one more comment and don't
One more
argue
thing.
with anyone.
Thank you very much, Mr Chairman.
Take up to the cost of
The
800.
things like structural integrity, look, we want the building weathertight, we want it to be, no mould and rotting, as Councillor Cooper says, but structural integrity, there's things like there's a paver missing out on the skirting, like a row of blocks. That's not going to do any harm to the building. If you say that structural integrity, it's kind of putting a much harsher lens on it.
Yeah,
There are things that make it fit for purpose. Like for example, we're happy to meet a warrant of fitness, but we wouldn't even be doing it if it didn't meet a warrant of fitness. We have to do that anyway. We don't have to have it in the resolution. We wouldn't be allowed to do it. Council wouldn't allow us to do it. There are
Okay,
certain things that
right.
the building code. we have to
Here is
comply
my final ruling on this. The mover and seconder need to decide what they want
All
in
right, well, how
in the
about making it
resolutions.
fit
That's
for
it, end of story.
purpose?
No more amendments. What do you want in
Fit,
it?
fit for purpose.
Okay, fit for purpose, where do you want to put that in, councillor Stewart?
But for purpose for what?
For C, instead of the structural integrity, have it ensure that it's fit for purpose.
Prior to any leasing.
Prior to any,
In here it says.
Okay, whatever that means. I'm asking, Matthew wants to,
Oh, no, through the chair, and it's just a question to Marion, maybe to help, because I want to understand who makes that call. I figure that it'll be a council department because we have to ensure it is fit for purpose. So that might help with the language.
Through the chair, yes, that is, as I understand it, that's correct. The council's community facilities asset management intelligence team, they basically look after all the asset management, would make a decision, as would the regulatory arm of council, I would imagine. So
so we don't need any of that in the resolution. This has all been recorded. There'll be, must be lots of people still watching. So it's all there for historic. So we have an amendment. Okay, we have Councillor Hills, Councillor Newman and Councillor Wayne Walker.
So, sorry, is it going to stay as structural integrity in the words that were in the agenda? No.
changing it.
It's there.
Well, I probably would have supported that way, but I'm concerned
Fit for purpose is what
about the risk we're putting council under if we fiddle around with what is actually needed and what is actually said. The other, so I have a question, but 2011 this was put off for the plan, and then it says development. Councillor Stewart and Quacks actually voted to sell this in 2014, and now we're not. Councillor Stewart is the other way, so I'm a bit confused at what's
5 years on.
the purpose
But
is.
we've got more
But
information.
the so if this is lost, would the process was going to be, or could have been, Panuku would have worked with the board to have a new facility, and then there'd be a sale process as well on parts of the land. Is that what the process would be or could be?
through the chair, the process would be that that Panuku would look to sell the property for development purposes. We have indicated to the local board that if a community asset is required on the ground floor, that we could work that into part of a development agreement, but that would come at a cost to the council, either via a commercial lease or otherwise, but there would be a cost to the council.
So
That is the opportunity lost.
so potentially the Howick board is funding the kind of do-up and the minimal work on an old building when they could be funding a new facility within a development.
Yep, yes, that's it.
That's correct.
Oh, well.
Right, so, okay, we now have Councillor Newman.
It's a very momentous day for a number of reasons, Mr. Chair, and it just gets more interesting. I have to say I'm enjoying sitting where I am, but
Good to see it,
look,
Joe.
the interesting thing about this is that we seem to have discovered the issue of the cost of renewals, and that's so good. I'm just so excited by the fact that there is a sudden concern about the cost of the renewal of our existing assets, stranded assets and community facilities right round the region. I would like to open this up so we can start to really delve into that, Mr. Chair.
Not tonight, please.
We won't do it tonight, but we should do it soon. I mean, and there are some other projects where I think we've got some big cost overruns. What about the City Rail Link? We may have some information about the City
It's
Rail
going to be a
Link.
long night if you keep going down that track.
How about the light rail?
In
That's
my
going to be a
sleep.
big cost overrun coming
Haven't
real
got a
soon.
business case yet. They're still working.
But the good news, Mr. Chair, is that actually the reason why this is a resolution that I can support is it's actually part of our co-governance. That we actually have our co-governance partners here, and I'm pleased about the Howick Local Board being here. And I don't want to look all angry and scratchy because you went and said something. Good on you, Howick Local Board, for speaking up. And you shouldn't be ashamed of that. So I think that unfortunately for the Howick Local Board, you're addressing some people who are feeling a bit damaged by some of the things that have happened today.
Oh, excuse
But-
me.
Especially,
Ian.
well, some people might, some people might not be. But good on the Howick Local Board for coming to the table with a series of suggestions that I think are helpful and constructive. And the other thing, Mr. Chair, is that I don't believe that this community is festooned with assets. This is one of the fastest growing communities in the Auckland region. If they had waited around as per the timetable for their legacy asset, we would have cut the ribbon the other day, but they're going to have to wait around for another 4 or 5 years at this stage, if you're lucky. So good on you, David, and good on the Howick Local Board. And yeah, congratulations to Councillor Stewart and Young, and I'll vote for it.
Oh, good. So 5 more years, it'll be 28 years then. It hasn't been fit for purpose. But anyway,
I don't
Councillor
think
Wayne
it'll be
Walker.
Sure. So I've heard the local board, and I accept that this is a strategic property, and I accept that Howick is experiencing massive growth, and I accept that the local board have put something on the table that's an interim step, and there may be something even better later. And I accept that this council says a lot about empowering communities, about doing things differently, about saving money, about making the best of what we've got. And everything that the local board is saying to me speaks to that. So I support them, and I think this is an entirely pragmatic move. I'd suggest that the challenge to council, and the challenge particularly to Panuku, is to actually make this work. And I support what's up there around required work to be undertaken, because I assume that that can mean donations and voluntary help and all of the things that a massive community like Howick can get in behind to make this happen. On the weekend, there was an opening of a surf lifesaving club, effectively renewal, up at Red Beach. They basically rebuilt that. Phenomenal work. The mayor even went there to cut the ribbon. I couldn't make it. I would have liked to have been there. So that's something that's happening in my community, where I've seen a community lift themselves and go the distance. So I support this, but the concern I've got is that Panuku needs to have a bit of a mind shift so that it actually allows this and empowers and enables communities. And that means doing something differently. So I hope, Marion, that you're able to take this back to the head honchos in Panuku, because a bit like RFA, I think there's a need for a mind shift.
I think you're going a little bit too far,
Oh no,
Walker. Are
this
you
is
talking
important.
To this or not? No,
and
are you talking to the resolutions
I am
that are
speaking
up
to
there?
this,
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm
stop.
supportive of this, and I think this is a wonderful case study.
Please.
I hear you, I hear you. Sorry.
Okay.
So I think this is a wonderful case study
Thanks, Wayne.
of actually doing something differently and making something happen. And I believe these people in the Howick community. I believe them.
Mr Chairman,
Thank you.
I'm glad a lot of people
question
around
be
here
put.
think this table's a joke. It's really bizarre behaviour. Just weird.
Well, that was a pretty weird comment too when we had it.
We have
I'll
Councillor
second
Fletcher
that,
has...
Councillor Fletcher.
So, we've got to put that this be
Close
put.
your motion.
All those in favour of that? Yes.
Aye.
Right. We're now going to put, whoop, wait a minute, I'm a bit confused. What is A? So where is A?
A was to thank the local board.
Haven't we done that already?
Yes, but
Yeah, we
now
did
we're
that.
doing
We
B.
did.
I did it.
We're thanking them again?
No.
Oh,
No, let's
just
do it.
Separate, isn't it?
yeah.
So
Different
now we're just
item.
dealing-
Oh, okay, I thought that was in the public input. We were...
Different item.
Okay, that's what I thought. Wouldn't that be we thank the local board for their presentation? Wasn't that just that? And then we
No,
now
because
move
it's a
to this?
separate item. One's a local board presentation as one item, and now this is this item. Remember? It's
Right, so
separate.
it's A, B and C, right. Right, folks, do you want a division?
Well, excuse me, Mr Chair, wouldn't A be we receive the report, and then B, C, D?
We've already moved.
Okay, right, I'm going to ask to my right,
Start at
Sandra.
B.
Thank you. So A was to thank the local board. They spoke at this item rather than speaking at public input at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, I see.
This is a new clauses for the same
I'll
item,
take that.
B, C and D.
Right. So we are putting B, C and D.
And
And that's by division.
A division? Okay.
Thank you. A division has been called. Councillor Clow.
No.
Councillor Casey.
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore.
Yes.
Councillor Collins.
For.
Councillor Cooper.
No.
Councillor Darby.
For.
Councillor Filipina.
Against.
Councillor Fletcher. For. Councillor Hills.
Yes.
Councillor Hulse.
Ground me down.
Panadol's
Make it stop.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Lee.
Aye.
Councillor Newman.
For.
Councillor Sayers.
For.
Councillor Simpson. For. Councillor Stewart.
Yes.
Councillor Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Watson.
Yes.
Councillor Young.
For.
Right, carried 14-3, so that moves A, B and C become the substantive, so I'm going to put them all together.
It was an amendment, this was the motion, because the original officer's recommendation was not moved.
Okay.
It wasn't moved in second, fair enough.
So this is the
Okay,
motion.
thank you very much. Don't go away, Marion, we've got more for you.